Hi, Alan here from RVAcrossAmerica.net, and I want to welcome you to my inner sanctum. This is my fifth wheel on the road, been on the road about 8 years now, and it's the end of October 2019. I am just getting set up for the winter here in Victor, Idaho. And I'm in a new campground this year. I work as a ski instructor just over the mountain pass. And this campground has me in a campsite where my 25-foot Camco heated hose was not going to reach to my camper because of where they put the hydrant, the spigot for the water. So realizing I had to do something about water for the winter, I quickly checked out Camco's 50-foot hose offerings and immediately had some concerns. There were some reviews online that were less than complimentary of their product. So I did what I knew was the right thing to do because I've used Camco products before and I know they're a very responsive company to issues that come up. So I picked up the phone and I talked to one of their engineers about the Camco hoses, the heated hoses, and we had a very frank discussion. Now, first of all, let me back this up a little bit. I'm the guy that used to take a regular garden hose, wrap it with heat tape, and then enclose it and try and use that for an entire winter. It doesn't work very well. And you end up spending a lot of money on heat tape, and you're better off with a professionally made product like the Camco heated hoses. So when I talked to the engineer, I discovered that there were two issues that they were wrestling with. One was user error. Very straightforward. The hose comes with a thermostat. That thermostat measures the temperature, the ambient temperature, and when the ambient temperature falls below freezing, the hose begins to heat up and prevents the water from freezing. Very simple. Works great unless you put the thermostat inside some kind of enclosed compartment which stays warm all the time, and then you wonder why your hose is not turning on. Well, that we both had to get a chuckle out of, but it happens. The more significant issue, and the one that I had read about and was really more concerned about because I kind of figured the thermostat issue was what that was, is the fact that the hoses were leaking at the connections, all right, at one end or the other. And the engineer was very straight up with me. He said, look, we had some issues. We've redesigned the connections, and we're rolling them out. And that's when I shared with him that one of the things I do on RVAcrossAmerica.net is I review products. And I said, I'm going to give you an honest review, and I am going to give them an honest review. And he said, great, we'll send you one. So here it is. It's sitting over on my couch at the moment. It feels like Christmas morning. I'm going to turn the camera momentarily, and I'm going to show you what it is. And you will be here with me as I unpack it and as we discuss the various components that make up this hose. And then we're going to put it into test in the field, immediate test, because the temperature tonight and tomorrow night is forecast to fall to about 10 degrees, which just for the record is a lot milder than it's been the last few nights. It got down to below zero. It got down to 6 below, which for October is not normal. Okay, that said, here's the hose. Okay, I've opened the box, and I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, this is the end that is going to go to the hydrant outside. So this is what's going to be sitting underneath a box that's going to provide some measure of insulation, and this is the thermostat. Now, notice the thermostat comes off of the housing of the hose, and notice how heavy duty this hose is. This is a solid hose. It's got the heat tape already wrapped around it professionally. It's guaranteed to minus 20 degrees. If we do get any temperatures below that during the winter, it's going to be for a matter of a few hours and maybe just a few nights during the winter. I'll run the water inside. I'll run it on a drip to keep the water running. But that's not a problem. But this, this is going to actually be underneath a bucket and underneath some insulation, And something I saw that the company provides that really impressed me is this insulating sheath that I presume is made to go around this and protect the connection between the hydrant or the spigot and the hose itself. But the thermostat must stay outside. It must be outside of that bucket. It must be exposed to the ambient air. That will keep the hose functioning properly. So when the temperature gets down anywhere near freezing, the thermostat will trigger the hose to heat up, and you're good to go. Now, the other end of it, this end, is what's going to go into my camper. And we have a couple of things here. First of all, for safety's sake, because most campgrounds have too much water pressure, this is a water pressure regulator, also made by Camco. It's got a little arrow on it showing you the direction that the water flow has to go. And while I'm inside, I'm going to take my time to make sure that's nice and tight, which will take care of this connection at this end. And then this is going to go into what I call a 90-degree elbow, and you'll see how that hooks up in my camper, and you'll see a particular design aspect of my camper that makes this particular setup not what I'm concerned about. Now, notice that from here, you also have the power cord. Now, the company, to their credit, mentions that you can adjust with male fittings this end and switch which is which. The way they have it set up makes the most amount of sense to me. The reason being, this cord is 6 feet long enough to run back outside through, and you'll see how I do it, out and under my skirting. And under normal circumstances, in other RV parks I've been in, there is a pedestal very close. You plug this into a GFI circuit, and you're good to go. In the case of this campground, I have a heavy-duty 50-foot power extension cord that this is going to have to get plugged into, and it will go to the GFI circuit. So I'm still accomplishing the same thing, and if I recall my physics correctly, these hoses only draw about 200 watts. So I'm not particularly concerned about running a 50-foot cord on it. Doesn't present a fire hazard, and if it did, it's outside. So it's not like the camper's going to burn up. And again, this will be outside, and this has an LED in it so that I can see that everything is functioning. So I want this to be outside. I want to be able to see what's going on here. And again, I'm very impressed that they give you 2 of these so that if you do need to insulate at both ends, you can. There's a camper 2 doors down from me that has the hookup on the outside, and that has bare metal going into his camper. That is going to be a point where he may risk freezing up when the temperatures get super cold. And frankly, here in southeast Idaho, it's already been to -6, so and that's in October. But this has been a very unusual October. Anyway, we're going to take this thing outside, and we're going to begin the process of connecting it up, testing it out, and I'll have reports for you as we go along the way. Okay? Thank you, Alan, RVAcrossAmerica.net, and we're going to call this RVAcrossAmerica.net/heated hose. HEATEDHOSE. Okay? Okay, you can see my setup here, and we're going to walk into a close-up. This is the bay where I have my water hookup inside the camper. I say inside because it's in an inside protected bay. This door is about 1 inch thick and insulated. Notice that inside, because of the design of the camper, you actually have a heat duct going into this area. So I know that all of this apparatus is going to work. This is where the heated hose is connected to the water pressure regulator, and where the water pressure regulator is connected to a 90-degree angle, 90-degree elbow, so that you can go right into the city water connection. Now, there's also a power line running out of the heated hose and it runs right back down through a port provided by the manufacturer of the RV. And you have here skirting, where I've got the hose, of course, underneath the skirting coming up and inside, and then I've got the power line going right back outside, and the connection is right here. And that connection again has a little bit of a orange LED in it. You can't see it in the bright sunlight right now. And this ideally there would be a power pedestal right here, but since there isn't, I'm running a 50-foot power cord around my camper and over to a GFI circuit. You could see over yonder, if you will, that's where the hydrant comes out of the ground for the water, and that is now covered and insulated. And I've made sure, as I show you in the next video, that the next piece of this video, that the thermostat is on the outside, so it'll sense things and keep the hose functioning as it should. Okay, thank you. So what we have here is the hose is now connected. It's on full. There is no evidence of any dripping. I did use a little bit of plumber's tape right between here and the faucet itself, the hydrant. And this is the shield that will go around the entire setting. So I'm going to bring that down. So when this hose starts heating up, some of that heat will work its way down into here, and all of that is going to be underneath this bucket, including all this fiberglass. So I'm going to put that around. What I have to be careful of is to make sure that the thermostat right here stays, the white tip to the right here stays on the outside of that bucket. Okay, that's the whole deal. Everything works. I'm a happy camper.